So, hello, and here we have another video in this 30 video challenge. It's supposed to be a 30-day, 30 videos, but it's not quite looking like that for me. But I will create those 30 videos. So, this is one of them. And as I was just giving it some thought, it's like, okay, what do I want to share with you guys today? So many things have shown up throughout the day today. And kind of the underlying thread of it all has been choice. Some things that I've read, some just in my day, like how many choices do we actually make a day that we haven't acknowledged where we're actually choosing? And so it reminded me of a story. About 5 years ago, I was in the classroom. I was a elementary school teacher. I taught kindergarten, third grade, some middle school, and even dabbled in some high school. And there came a point where I had been questioning what it was all about. You know, the school system and the structures and within the school had changed so much with No Child Left Behind, but some other things, just that there was something missing. And it's almost like I knew there was something more available. And I think what finally turned or really shifted things for me is when I walked into one of the teacher break rooms, and I heard a conversation between some teachers, and one of them was starting to talk about retirement. And all of a sudden it just clicked, and I thought, is that why most teachers are in the classroom? Now, believe me, that might not be the case with everyone, and yet I know that there are some. I mean, like I guess in every profession, right? But more than anything, that triggered for me to ask myself my own question. And it's like, why am I here? Why am I choosing to teach? And in that period of time, or in that school year, I recall trying to meet with some of the classroom teachers and kind of get re-inspired as teachers and what I wanted to create. Because I was finding it very challenging that there were some days at the end of the day, I was like, what was today about? You know, it was like where I didn't feel I was really connecting with the kids, that there was really no, I knew there was something more. And even though there was pockets throughout the year, I wasn't feeling quite as inspired. So I took a year off. I took a year off, and then I took a second year off. And close to the end of the second year, I had to make a choice. That letter in the mail came where I had to choose, do I resign my position or do I go back in the classroom? And at that moment, I had started to create some other projects, and actually I started to create a business. I had an academic and parent coaching program where I took all the elements that I saw actually worked when I worked with the kids, when I worked with the parents, and actually tied it all back into the school. So that was really working and fun for me. And yet there was the choice. And many people around me thought that it was obvious what my choice was going to be. I was going to go back in the classroom. But of course, the economy was not doing very well. People were losing their jobs. People were losing their homes. And it would be crazy for me to resign during that unstable period of time. And yet when I looked at that, when I looked about going back in the classroom, the energy it just didn't seem like fun. I can put it in simple. It didn't seem like something to look forward to. Like there was no excitement of like, wow, yes, I'll do that. And yet when I looked at not choosing to go back, even though I had nothing very defined, there was definitely nothing concrete, there was just so much more like excitement and just the possibility of what could open up. So that's what I chose. I was grateful at the time that I had, you know, a lot of support as far as like some of the things that I had put in place. And yet it was an undefined time. I didn't know what it was going to look like, but I got to create and constantly be in the question of like, well, what else would I like to add? And I have added so many things since then. I recall a friend of mine, there was two of us, actually three of us, and one of my friends looks over at me. She goes, you know, Sylvia, she was, having me just give me that little pep talk. And she goes, Sylvia, I have no doubt you're going to be successful. And I recall I was sitting on the carpet on the floor. She was up on the sofa, and I looked up at her and I go, the way I see it, I already am. And although I didn't think about my answer at the time, now I get it more than ever, that there was so much power or things that I was aware of that I gifted with the choice, or that came along with the choice. The fact that I was willing to make that choice that wasn't easy when I looked at, everything that was going on around me, but yet I trusted that there was something more in my future, even though I didn't know exactly what it was. So I came along the Access Consciousness tools and work, and I've been using it in everything I do in my life since then. And I now get, it's like, wow, we each have the capacity to perceive the future. And when you ask a question about your choices, you actually do know what it's going to create. And I never got that before. That was actually maybe one of the first times that was really clear. And it was a big choice. It was going to impact my family. It was going to impact a lot of people. And yet I maybe didn't have exact or a clear way of what to explain, other than for some people I used to tell them, it's like, well, I chose my passion rather than my fears, is how I looked at it. Because if I would have chose my fear, it was to avoid, being without a job, being without a house, kind of what was going on. Because in a sense, I was letting go of that security that people call, right? The full-time job, the benefits, the retirement, medical insurance. I was letting all of that go at that time. And yet, my other choice felt so much greater and lighter. What some people call fear, I guess I at the moment thought, wow, it's kind of exciting. Like, I don't know, I get to constantly create. So 5 years later, one of the tools that I share with people, and it's one of the tools from Access Consciousness, is that you can look at every choice that you have and ask a couple questions. And you can perceive the energy of what that's going to create in your future. And I got to say, it's a muscle to be able to kind of begin to trust that you do know. And sometimes you may not need to tell anyone, because you have doubters and haters and all sorts of things. So ask yourself and you'll know. And the questions go like this. So truth, if I choose this, whatever that may be, what will my life be like in 5 years? And truth, if I don't choose this, what will my life be like in 5 years? And each time you ask those questions, you will perceive an energy. So I didn't have that exact tool at the time, but that is what I did when I was looking at, do I resign my teaching position, or do I go back? And when I looked at resigning, it opened up. When I looked at returning, it closed. So I use those two questions with lots of things in my life. It doesn't mean it's the right choice. It doesn't mean it's the wrong choice. It just means that you are aware of what it's going to create in your future. So play with it and see. You'll know. And I guess the one thing is to know that if you are choosing what feels lighter, it requires you to continue to be in the question and continuing to choose. So you always have choice. And what if no choice is right, no choice is wrong? You get to just continue to choose. So, okay, that's all for today. See you guys next time.